tonight, guys, is a session 0 for Coin and Craft. So, I will go back over the a little bit of the hook real quick, just to remind everybody. Also, Neysa, the person that has dealt with linguists, I've heard the word I've spelled on the screen.
Yeah.
Pronounced Craft. As you say, normal Craft. I've also heard it pronounced Craeft.
It's supposed to be a blend between A and E. That's why it's literally got its own little...
I've also heard it called Craeft.
It's either Aeft or A or A.
Craeft. I'll go with Craeft. So Craeft.
Nice. But yeah, no, it's something like a long A-E sound.
So
Aya or A.
So Coin and Craeft.
Good enough.
So the setting is a continent that we have not played on before in any of my games. In fact, I think this is the first time y'all have played in a game that will be possibly streamed that I'm running. That's set in my world.
Yeah, this is Arax.
This is set on the world of Arax, which, for the most part, Arax is a massive world. So lore that's not in the game that you would be aware of. Bozazath and Acurst are the two continents next to each other. They are called the Twins because they are. If you get to the far eastern coast of one and the far western coast of the other, you can see the other continent, where people originally thought maybe they were one continent with just a sea or a very wide channel. And when I say sea, like you'd have to use like a spyglass. Mm-hmm. But they're called the Twins because they've always been so close. They're north of the Halfling Archipelago, which is the trade center of the world. The Halfling Archipelago is roughly about the size of, or it's a region roughly about the size of the Atlantic, of multiple scattered islands. Some of them, larger, like Madagascar, New Zealand style, but it is literally a scattering of islands all over. That used to be a continent that years ago was shattered when Tiamat and the other betrayers tried to destroy the world. So, Bozazath does a lot of trade to the south with the Halfling Archipelago because the Halfling Archipelago, they find magic items. They find lost relics of a lost kingdom scattered throughout here. They also have seafood and certain types of spices that cannot be grown in Bozazath because of the climate. But Bozazath has iron. Bozazath has foundries. Bozazath has more production. Now, to the east of that is another area that you would know, known as Egeth. Egeth is about as medieval European fantasy as you want to get. Okay, there's a mage kingdom in the north that I've forgotten the name of because it's been 6 years since I drew the map. There's the Commonwealth and the Freeholds, and then there's the Empire of Zai. Zai orcs are a trip. Think Dune plus Nutmeg. Zai is a very Middle Eastern influenced area, but they have cinnamon, they have nutmeg, they are the spice kingdom. And I don't mean that like the spice is life kind of thing or spice is a drug. I mean literally these bougie orcs trade in spices and exotic scents. Like they make perfumes. They are a high-end kingdom, and the other orcs that you're more likely to meet are called the Fen. And they are shamanistic, migratory, and the thing about the Fen is it was started by orcs, but everybody can join the Fen. So if I mention the Fen, know that they're the more kind of like tribal, nomadic, ancestor worship orcs. If I mention Zai, be ready for like high-end capitalism. What you got?
The Fen, even though, like, I think I remember this in Holy Wind. Arvex is a Fen orc technically, but she's a high elf. She's a high elf because they just let anyone in, right?
Okay. So If you live by the Finn and you acknowledge the three gods, which are Gramush, the father, Luthic, the mother, and then the one you don't speak about.
Their son?
No.
No. Okay.
So, okay, here's the deal. The way orc religion works in Arax. Not if anybody's playing orc, but it's one of those that I'm telling y'all because it's one of my pet peeves and one of the things I love, is they pray their gods to leave them the fuck alone.
Right.
Like, they will say, Gramush, do not look at me when they do something, or may Luthic turn her eyes away from you. If they ever ask for their gods to look at you, you have fucked up so bad that they've literally, like, asked for the worst curse. Like, may Gramush's eye always fall upon you the rest of your days, is one of the meanest things you could say in the Fen. But the other thing is they have ancestor worship. They worship genus loci. Like, they acknowledge earth spirits, but they migrate, and there are semi-permanent locations that are called the Fen. There is, down in Egeth, there is a section called the Fen where the Fen orcs originated from that broke off from Zai. But, and you do business with the Fen. Like, if you're a trader, you've done business with the Fen, because they'll show up and they'll have the wildest shit because they live a weird life. And so you've probably done business with them. You've probably done business with Zai. So there's that. Those the continents of. Also, there's Iceheart. There's a duchy. It's a subcontinent that's on the other side of Acurst. You might have done business with them. You might have done business off with a far-flung place called Ibavis, which is a frozen land far to the north. So these are the continents you probably had some knowledge of if you're from Bozazoth. If you're not from Bozazoth, we can work that out with your background for more info. Okay? Now, so that's just kind of given that swath north to south what it is. Now, so let me pull back up the document. So, coin and Craeft. You find yourself in the great Craeft kingdom of Bozazoth. The kingdom would be more accurately described as a confederation of multiple smaller commerce states dominated by guilds that stretch across a continent of the same name. Now, the borders are constantly changing, so no one really worries to say, I'm in this duchy, or I'm in this guild field, or anything like that. I come from Bozazoth. And then you associate with one or more guilds. Now, the guilds elect from their ranks the Craeft King, who reigns until their death or they are deposed. The sole purpose of the monarch is to ensure a prosperous trade, support trade-driven education, to enforce the laws of the House of Nine, a semi-legislative body made by the 9 most powerful guilds. All the guilds are constantly vying to overthrow one another to get to the House of Nine. Well, not all of them, because there's some of them, like, if you're from, like, the leather-working guild that's far off, you're not sitting there going, One day I'm going to Miro. And, yeah, we're going to be on that council. You're like, I hope to build our guild up and we get taken over for a profit and that we can all retire.
Little startup mentality.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, Bozazoth has grown extremely wealthy and powerful over the last century under the reign of Indrid Corebinder. So, he's been a very successful Craeft king. However, after 2 centuries of rule, many wish for a change. Several of the wealthier guild families wish to unseat the Dwarven Lord, who they regret electing before his 60th name day. They didn't stop and think about this. So, additional bit of lore that I didn't put in the document for y'all is, most of the Craeft kings have been human or halfling. Sometimes a half-elf, but they're usually the shorter-lived species. There was a 25-year period of 8 Aarakocra.
Okay.
Known as the Flight of Fancy. And we'll write down the name again here in a second, because Topher and I talked about this. Because again, today, part of what we're doing is also lore building. So, let me put that down. The Flight of Fancy.
Just to remember it, yeah.
Yeah, 25-year.
Didn't we say they all had the same name?
Yes. So we'll go.
They just have a different.
They have a different. So
moniker.
All of them are Jonathan.
No. Oh, Jonathan!
Where's Jonathan?
Anyway, 60th name day. Others desire King Intred to remain on the throne because he's made wealthy many of the minor guilds. Most of the lower classes love him because he has improved their lot, as well as his wife, Morgana Corebinder, comes from their ranks. Now, here's the deal. There is, to keep in mind for your backgrounds, because I don't want to tell anybody that you sent me stuff. Like, the reason I didn't really respond a lot to backgrounds other than the questions I asked you to send me is I want you to understand there is poverty in Bozazoth. There's poverty everywhere. It's going to find a way to fester and exist. But the thing about Bozazoth right now under Corebinder is the poor, not those in poverty, but the poor are still moderately comfortable. It's not a day to day. It might be more month to month. It's like I'm living paycheck to paycheck, but you know, it's more like, it's going to be ramen noodle days at the end of the month, not we're not eating for a week, kids. So there's a level of comfort. There's a level of security that's occurred. Even the poor have some money. And there is a chance to move from being poor to middle class with him as
there's social mobility.
There's social mobility currently. Not every Craeft King has allowed that. In fact, there's some Craeft Kings that didn't really do anything. They got elected and then just kind of let the council, the House of Nine do what it is. But there's an issue. Several of these wealthier houses are noticing that they're making money, but since everybody's making money, they're not making as much as they could. So there's some issues here. There's some intrigue that's happening maybe to unseat him, because if you just didn't have to pay those damn workers as much, you could actually have nice things, is what some of these higher up guilds are thinking. Now, this is where you come in. Several caravans from the Ironbeard Tig have gone missing or have reported being attacked. Now, the Craeft King, being a dwarf, is originally from the Ironbeard Tig. In fact, Corebinders are a cadet branch of the Ironbeard dwarven family. Now, to clarify with a Tig, Tigs are basically a nation within themselves. They are a large city-state, usually ruled by the family that's the namesake of the Tig. And then there are other noble houses and cadet branches of the main family that exist within it. And Tigs don't build out necessarily, they build down. So you're still going to have literally the highest order of the Tig is going to be up at the top. And they might actually build up a mountain for that. But the lower you get, the lower class people are going to be in the Tig, because that's where the active mines are. That's where the active smithies are. So the markets and stuff like that might be higher up. The wealthier folks have their houses. But the big thing, again, even the wealthiest dwarf in a Tig, especially in Bozazoth, is a craftsman. So Lord Ironbeard, while is a noble, is not going to be a, oh yes! It's going to be like, get the fuck out of my way, I got to get the hammer. And go make a hammer. So they believe they are better than everyone else, but they still work. And that kind of leads us into, well, I guess I need to finish the rest of this pitch, don't I?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, since the Ironbeard Tig is a maker of armor and weapons and these insulated tankards that will always keep your drink cool or warm depending on what temperature it is when you pour it into it, which have really caught on as a world trend and has made Bozazoth so much money for absolutely no reason. Like, they hit the market at the right time, and every single high elf in the theocracy far off away in this place they called the Elves has to have one of these tankards. So you've been hired to investigate the site of the attack near Deep Arbor, off in the woods. You must determine the cause, and if at all possible, you must retrieve the lost wares. So that's our catch, and that's our kit here. But I want you to understand, on Bozazoth, I'm not going to go over demographics. You already read that. But things I want you to understand about Bozazoth. You are in a guild. You're also going to be in a guild called the Mortal Coil, which we're going to flesh out more. So, you're in the Mortal Coil. I'm going to give you some info on that, and then we can work a little bit. But culturally, it's not unusual for someone to be in 4 or 5 guilds. Usually not within the same field. Like, you're not going to be in 2 different leatherworking guilds unless the guild you're a part of does not exist on the side of Bozazoth that you're on. You might join a similar guild temporarily to maintain work in your license.
I never turned our music back on. I'm doing that now. Sorry.
I can't believe this.
I wondered why it was so fucking quiet. That's why.
No, it was fine. I'm getting into the world, getting into the realm.
So,
And now there's more reason to get into the realm.
I think I have 3 characters in this world too.
yeah. So if you adventure, you're going to join one of the multiple adventurer guilds. But adventuring is a profession. It's not necessarily a trade. So adventurer guilds, they rank pretty low on the hierarchy of guilds because adventurers, they destroy things. They don't necessarily make things. And you can claim there's an art in the process of it, but someone's then going to try to tell you, yeah, well, then there has to be a guild for the night soil collectors. There is. There is the Decimus Guild. There is a reason why night soil and outhouse cleaners are some of the best paid people in Bozazoth. They'll take shit, but not from you. So, like, let's say you're a thief. You might be in a thieves guild, but you also might be in the beggars guild. Because if you're not stealing, you might have to beg. And if you're an unlicensed beggar, well, that's 5-10 years in prison. So, when I say there's a guild for everything, I mean it. Like, I'm not joking. There's a beggars guild. There's a fool's guild. There's multiple assassins guilds.
But is there a creed?
No.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. Okay.
Every major farm style, like, you're not going to find, like, people's personal little small farms and garden patches, people don't mess with.
Wait, is there an hydroponics guild?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Hugel culture.
The hookah guild.
No. Hugel culture. It's piles of rotting wood, sawed on top, and you farm in them.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that before.
No, but certain guilds might lean more towards that than others. Like, the farmers guilds are going to fucking fight over...
Is there like a mushroom guild where like they only do mushrooms and they do...
Wait. Where's the lollipop guild?
Oh.
Let me pull up the map. We can make this canon in just a second when I pull up the fucking map.
It's all halflings and they get so fucking tired of...
Wait. It's a troubadours guild though. The lollipop guild is a troubadours guild, and they hand lollipops out.
Like,
Oh man, the map's blurry on this.
Only a little bit.
Someone who has a better screen than my phone.
I don't have...
Where do you want me to look in?
Down at the very bottom. Is that Lars?
Lawns.
Lawns. So
Lawns and old lawns.
Lawns has the lollipop guild.
That's fine.
And you know what? No, it's not a troubadours guild.
Uh-oh.
They're confectioners.
Confectionery, yeah. I was about to say. So,
I think it'd be funny if people were like, they used to have like this whole like song and dance they do, but they don't really do it anymore, and people just come up to them and it's like, do the dance, and
A
they're like,
halfling looks at him.
to do.
No, the halfling just stares at him. Not even part of that fucking guild.
Shit. The racism is strong with this tourist.
Elven theocracy coming in here.
I stabbed myself. I'm
Sorry.
bleeding.
So, I had a nugget in my mouth.
Yeah, we don't
How
even know
dare
your
you.
sex life.
I apologize. I am
I know.
no-go sexual. I gotta cut that part out because that'll get out of the internet and someone's gonna make it a fucking thing. Next thing you know, someone's gonna say getting a 10-piece is actually slang for something.
Ooh.
Lord. Okay.
That's a hell of a warning. Anyway, so there's literally a guild for everything. So being part of more than one guild, as long as they're not in competing fields, is perfectly fine. So being part of Mortal Coil and any other guild that you list in your background is not going to be an issue unless it's another adventurer's guild. Which, still with Mortal Coil, won't necessarily be that big of a deal because there's a reason you end up in Mortal Coil.
So Mortal Coil is at its core an adventurers guild? Okay.
So, now we'll actually flesh that out.
It never got said that that's its like industry. So
Now, because we got a cleric, and Kris asked me this question in background. All gods are present. The way I run games is they're pretty much religious agnostic, religious acceptance. You good, Spence?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, I saw your eyes slowly closing. I thought you were about to fall asleep.
I'm good.
So if you say that you worship this god, they're there. However, I'm going to be honest. With religion in Bozazoth, 90% of the population, it's lip service. Unless they worship one of the gods of wealth. Like, I'm not going to lie, the biggest religion in Bozazoth is capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
Making that money. You tithe to yourself kind of situation.
Oh, no, my character's really out of sorts.
No, I mean, it's not unusual for other people, but like, if you were to, like, people show up at the main holidays to the temples and people make donations to the temples because they're supposed to, but if you're looking for like truly devout, you're not going to find a ton of people.
Like, there's religion and there's like pockets of like devout people,
Like,
but it's
craftsmen will probably be very devout to their god, like dwarves worshiping the dwarven god of creation and craft and making and smithing. But their way of worshiping is making things, not necessarily standing in a temple. Garl Glitter Gold is very popular because god of coin. Now, I want you to say there is a group y'all will not deal with much on Bozazoth that has been dealt with in multiple other games as the Elfim Theocracy, the Elven Church. There's a theocratic, semi-socialist, Stalinistic state. The Monday night game of Holy Winds is right in the dead center of like the angry butthole that is that religion.
they killed my pet.
They killed Just Brad the second time.
I play a plasmoid artificer, and he has the construct. He's died twice, and we just keep naming him. His name was
Colodosis, and then it was Just Brad Colodosis.
Just Brad something Colodosis, and we don't know the new name. But he also has a companion named Aspic.
That's a little jelly monkey guy. Anyway, so you haven't dealt with them much, but if you run into a high elf, it is safe to assume they're part of the theocracy. The way they do business versus the way you do business do not necessarily mix, because their business is, I'm part of the church, it's taken care of. Your version of business is, yeah, but that money though.
But the money.
But them coins, jingle jangle. Jingle, 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 jangle.
The Witcher always gets paid up front.
It's like boo-boo keys to a little kid. Like,
Show me the money!
So, with that being said, that's some of the background and everything. So let's start off with Mortal Coil. And I'll tell you what I have down is that Mortal Coil is an adventuring guild. they buy contracts you have to fulfill. So you've done something that landed you in mortal coil. So it's one of those of Mosesoth, they don't really believe in the death penalty. Because if you die, you can't work. Minor crimes, they'll fine you for. If you don't have the money, World Coil might buy your contract.
So it's kind of an indentured servitude sort of thing.
More or less.
Okay.
Now, some people do join Mortal Coil on their own volition.
So it's like half like
Well, the thing
duty to serve.
Well, the thing is that it already has this connotation that these are basically prison contracts.
Okay.
Mortal Coil is it's not hated. It's not loved. It provides a service when others won't.
Not quite full Suicide Squad vibes, but pretty damn close.
Well, it's, let's say like a good guild won't take your contract. There's a higher chance that Mortal Coil will. So, it's not, easy to put, it's not respected.
It serves a purpose, but it's not like, it's kind of like the middle of the road. It's a, people see it as like a necessary evil sort of situation.
Somebody has to clean up the gutters.
Someone has to
Clean
take the
ditches.
jobs that other people won't.
Somebody has to take the dirty work because then that the other ones are basically too good for them.
We're the Mike Rose without the charisma.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, here's the deal.
okay.
Y'all might get a job from the Council of Nine. Like, this job you have right now is either from the Council of Nine or might be from the Craft King himself, but you're never going to actually see them sign their name to a document involving you.
Very much what we do in the shadows and not
Yeah.
in the
So it's like, it's going to be a signature. Like, it's going to
Dr.
be
Squiggle.
like, it's going to be like his, like, it's going to be an associate.
There's a stamp somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's stamp where it's so far
Yeah.
down the chain, you're not going to trace it.
100%. 100% you're going to have something along those lines.
But being part of the mortal coil means that we do have authority to get shit done when we need to get shit done, though, right? Like when we have a guild writ, so we have passage to some places or certain
Nice.
things.
It's spooched.
You got spooched.
I got spooched. I'll have to actually clip that later.
You got spooched.
But to be fair, what I did is it looked like it was barely over the edge of this. All of a sudden, my lips over something, slurping, and then my response is, it's spooched.
It's spooched. That's what he said.
There was whiteness.
There was so
Creamy and
much
all. Anyway,
creamy whiteness.
that was, you know what? That was my stage name when I was in a ska band.
So when it comes to the Mortal Coil, they do have some leniencies when it comes to fulfilling their job. I'm assuming there's going to be some litigation if they run afoul too much.
You have rules. I will craft them because over the next week, I'm going to create your writ. And it will be a physical thing that I give you.
Wee, prop.
Yep. So there will be guidelines. There are policies.
The Pirates Code is really more of guidelines.
It's more of a suggestion. But no, like, you violate a mortal core rule and they find out you did it, they're going to send another mortal coil team out to collect you.
Oh no.
Contract terminated, therefore you terminated.
So I mean, like, there's not like I can just be a shit and run around and do anything type thing. Like, they're not respected. But hey, look, trash men have to do their job even if nobody loves them.
Yeah.
So That's kind of the job here. Like you're not coming from the best adventuring guild. Now, I've seen one backstory. Somebody did have a contract purchased, which is why I'm including that in how they work. Someone else has a disgraced kind of background with research, which would fit in. Someone else's background kind of leads them to maybe wanting to stay somewhere more low-key, less known, while they try to do research and try to figure out things about themselves and the world around them. Is that all safe to assume with everybody?
No.
Yeah.
I'm rich. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm sorry. I'm being.
So, we've set up part of your background. But I guess before we really get further on, let's also discuss some of the things that we're testing. Because the whole reason we're doing this campaign is there was a couple things Kris and I've talked about that we wanted to test with live games. And Kris really didn't want to test them as a DM on a live stream. And I kind of get that. That's why we're recording this instead of live streaming it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody would probably watch this backroom type talking and like shop talk for how the game is
Yes,
set
we are
up.
in the back rooms. We are stuck here. Please
God.
help. Please.
This is how we keep all the monsters away, is we just roll the click clacks, and it turns out like the smilers. Ooh, nerds, no, nerds.
New monster of the week idea.
Nerds have no nutritional value.
Anyway, so some of the stuff we're going to test, and it's one of the things with Spence's character we have to clarify.
Okay.
I'm doing away with individual initiative. Players will have a turn. Enemies will have a turn. We might get to test that tonight. It might have to wait until next week, because, we got the battle cam up, just in case. But y'all are going to have a turn, and you're going to discuss what you do, because Kyle, unlike Cannon and unlike Moose, think about AoE for party members.
Yeah.
So it sucks to be the wizard, have low initiative, and then everybody's like in the area. So what's going to happen on a turn? A player's turn. Y'all are going to discuss as a team that has worked together. Y'all have worked together before this point. You know a little bit about each other, and you will discuss among each other whose action will go first and what you're all doing, and you're going to synergize. The main reason I want to do this is to keep engagement up. I'm just as guilty of it as anybody else. I got a little 5-inch screen back here that's on a device that I pay for that intrigues me with the randomness of the internet or the horrors of the internet. And it's easy when things get slow and you're not like, shit, I'm like 8th in the turn order. All right, I got 30 minutes. I'm going to go get pizza. Everybody cool?
Yeah.
And then that,
Question: how are we rolling initiative in terms of who goes first?
That is what I was going to get to with Spence, because what were you going to ask Spence?
and then I was just going to just say, then it is just kind of like how like Final Fantasy Tactics work, is that the good guys go, and then the bad guys go, and then it's more, thought-provoking, and I think it can work.
Now, Spence is a Twilight cleric and has some abilities that help with initiative.
It's advantage, right? Like you could
Yeah,
give
that I
advantage.
can basically give advantage to basically a creature that can have it on initiative.
I also have guidance, so I can spam guidance on our initiative.
I have got.
I'm really quick.
So I think the biggest question is which of us has the highest dex. It's probably not going to be me.
Well, the thing is, I'm stealing this from Pathfinder 2e.
Okay.
I'm not going to base initiative always off of your perception or dexterity.
Okay.
Let's say that y'all want to sneak attack something. Okay. So that means y'all have to roll initiative with stealth. So
Oh, okay. I see.
So the way this is going to work is one party member will roll. One party member will take the lead. So I'm going to write this down. Leader
For the
rolls.
entering initiative.
Right. So the leader's going to roll for the party. Now,
So that, just to clarify, so if I were to initiate combat, I would be the one rolling, and it would be based on the ability.
Yeah, if you Leroy Jenkins, then I think that would be the trigger point, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm not playing a kind of character like that.
Now, here's the deal.
But
If we did run into, roleplay wise, if we ran into a Leroy Jenkins moment, the party might still roll for they're going to join at this point. But I might tell some folks that didn't join in on the action, you don't go this round. Because you're surprised by your party members' tomfoolery as much as everybody else is.
So this is going to be it's going to be a little fluid, like per instance.
Yeah.
But in general, whoever's initiating or triggering the initiative is going to be considered the leader.
Yes.
Or if we have, like, for example, the rogue is going to be sneaking in for, like, that assassin damage or whatever, then they're the ones who they're the one who needs to be kind of the leader for purposes of the party.
Right. Now, if you're joining into just regular combat, I'm like, all right, this is dexterity. Who's leading the action? If you're doing something social, I might be like, all right, you got to roll,
Charisma.
performance or might be a straight charisma roll. So it's gonna be something that's more appropriate to. Hey, buddy.
You okay,
Hey,
bub?
buddy. Just got a little itch. So, and that means you can still grant advantage. You can still give guidance, like, because I've seen some people that have kind of a complaint about some things, like, oh, if you do this, you get rid of some of these other abilities without initiative, like the assassin and all this stuff. I'm like, not 100%
Yeah.
if you do it right. Now,
I think it would just have to be, like, the part of that is the communication that we're trying to foster.
Right.
When doing this new things.
And at the end of the day, if it's an ability that gets completely hamstringed by the system, we can always just change
Tweak it.
that. Yeah.
Right.
I don't foresee any problems with it right now.
I don't
Like,
see
I'm
any problem
excited
with
to see
it.
how
I
it
am
works.
excited too.
Yeah.
Because it is definitely giving off that tactics vibe, but like we have to basically work together and be like, okay, I can go ahead and then pop my channel divinity while you want to go and be just frontline, and then I will come up follow up as well.
And then I can
Exactly.
like sneak in and
Yeah. Which if it's not interrupting your flow too much, you're going rogue, you're going cleric, and I'm technically just artificer, but I've built to be kind of in the face kind of thing. So I think for the grand scheme of things, if we're trying to get the jump on somebody, party leader for initiative. If we're running into something to get initiative, party leader for initiative,
yeah.
Yeah.
or something like that.
And it depends, like if it's a
I mean, I don't have a great strength or dex either way, but I have a lot of boosty things.
I mean, if it comes down to it, like when it comes to certain things, I think we could argue that a party, like certain like scenarios, but when it comes down to the meat and potatoes combat, I think if I were to like set things up, I could lead on
Yeah.
that. Or when it comes down to shoot, my brain just died.
Oh no! Somebody get the paddles.
hey, no self-harm. I mean, I know that's not serious, but it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Twitch, yeah. But yeah, just we can play it by ear, but I agree with you generally on that.
Skidoodle-doo-doo.
now, the other thing we're going to be testing is something Chris and I've talked for a while, of a resource that does not return on a short or a long rest. What we're doing is having a resource that renews on a respite, which is going to be much longer than a 8-hour rest. Like, you got to actually take, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm just short rest, gonna sit here, still in my armor, not comfortable. Armor's not comfortable at fucking all.
Or you just go like in Baldur's Gate 3, you're just like, oh, it's just time for that long rest. Okay, we're good. Let's go.
Okay, so respite, I haven't settled necessarily on a time frame. And when we start talking about some of the influences I'm pulling from this, because I'll talk to y'all about vibes. And it's something y'all might have to go watch or try to find to get kind of an idea for the energy I want us to bring to this. And it's going to be hard for me because I have to ditch like a whole lot of my usual play and DM style for what I want us to kind of do with this. And I mean, that's another thing I want us to test with this. I want the DM, to give more of a vibe check for everybody with it. Like, most part, we're pretty decent at letting folks know what we want everyone to do or what's going to be like the idea. And what to expect further down the road. Now, the only reason I don't do that with my Monday night campaign is I've played with them since just shortly after my son was born. I know what everybody at that table is comfortable with immediately.
Before he was born.
No, we started it 8 months after Vincent was born.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a long
That was
playgroup.
Forgotten Sands started, and we are still going.
Who knows?
Bel Chiffon.
We've lost, and then we lost 2 players, and Kris came back later on.
Kris came back. It's like the whole flavor of the cat came back.
Kris came back the very next day. He went, "Hey man, I kind of forgot my jacket."
I mean, the whole thing was like, oh wow, I need to handle up on this mental health business.
100%.
Yeah.
Always take care of your mental health whenever this airs.
Always.
But anyway, so it's gonna be a little bit different than what I typed because I realized how OP what I typed was.
So
You're going to have a Craeft for each level you are, and it will be a D6.
5d6.
So you should have 5d6. You can roll them at any point on a roll before I say it fails. But no, hold on. You can roll it even after I say it fails, kind of like a smite. Here's the deal. The difference that I'm changing from what I sent out in the original document is if it raises it over 20, it's just over 20. If it raises it to a 20 on the dot, like you get a 14 on the die and you roll a Craeft and you get a 6 making it a 20, I will count that as a nat 20.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, every time you spend a Craeft, you do not get it back until you take a respite.
Right.
If you get down to no Craeft, you will only get back half
Okay.
on a respite.
But if we have one, we get them all back.
You
on
will
the
get them
respite.
all back when you take a full respite.
So just to clarify, it's an extension of the D20 itself,
Yes.
not of the modifier.
No.
Okay, and if it goes over 20, it's not a...
Right.
Okay.
So
But if it hits 20 like blackjack, then
It's
then it counts as a nat.
So that's how we're going to do that, because I realize if it raised the total above a 20, I'm like, wait, there's modifiers, so
right.
they can be like, oh, 21, oh, 1, that's above a 20.
Craeft is added to D20 before any other modifiers.
Right.
And that result is what's used to determine whether it's nat or not nat.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So-
Interesting.
I feel it's an interesting mechanic. Again, it's a resource that can be very useful. It's also a resource that costs a lot. Like, if you're level 20, you're like, I got 20 of these. We all know how a level 20 fight goes very quickly, very wrong. It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Oh, no.
So let me
challenge rating 40 monster.
Let me ask a clarification then.
Yes.
Can Craeft be spent multiple on a single roll, or is it one per roll?
Just
That's
one
it.
per roll. Just one per roll.
I was about to say, if I roll that 3 and I've got no other nothings left, and I want to spend 3d6 of my Craeft on
It is.
but it's only
It is. You can only add one at a time.
Yeah, that's
one.
right.
One per turn or one at a time.
One a roll.
Oh.
So, like, if you have a reaction immediately after and you want to spend a,
Okay. So
spend the
one,
Craeft.
one per roll.
you could. So, it is a renewable resource that renews at a slower rate. What you got?
Just, like, can we spend it after we roll?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's something, it's kind of like luck where...
So, if I say, like, you roll, let's say you roll a 10.
Hmm.
You have a +5 and you got 15. I go, you fail. Oop, hold on.
Craeft.
I'm going to roll a d6, and then you add that.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
So, that's how that resource is going to work. Okay? again, this is something we talked about using, something that sounded like it might be cool. So,
now, what are the qualities for a respite then? Is it like generic downtime quality?
okay, so let me move into tone just a little bit
Okay.
with this. So we're going general fantasy, heroic adventure. If you go to a village and you decide to start throwing your own prestidigitation or thaumaturgy, they're going to look at you like you are an utter asshole. Because,
Everyone has.
to quote the D&D movie, my 5-year-old can do that magic.
The literary genre is magical realism.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
getting that way too, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's accepted because it just is.
Just is. So, like, if a cockatrice runs out in the road, fuck, that's weird.
Move on.
No, it's like, we got to kill it because they're usually not in this area. And
Right.
that's like,
Yesterday
that-
was a tumbleweed.
that's gonna, well, it's like, this is gonna be a problem for somebody.
Yeah.
If we wait, it's not our problem, but
Right.
like all of a sudden a dragon flies over. Oh shit. Everybody, it's gone. So, I mean, it's one of those things, like, the dead rising out of the ground is not going to immediately cause everybody to, like, people are going to panic because, like, oh god, undead. But it's not like, well, what is this? Like,
Oh, this is weird. Oh no!
Oh,
What?
no,
Oh,
what
it's
is
biting me.
These things exist. They are
Right.
known in the common, like, lexicon
Right.
of life.
right, like, if all of a sudden
Yeah.
the ground partially collapses and involve, like, there is now a passageway down there, somebody's going to go, oh, this
Oh.
tracks.
We didn't have a map for this one, did we?
that now we do.
We're gonna have to make
What?
one.
Well, just go down.
So, I mean, it's just the, like, and you know when you go in somewhere, you got to check for traps. Why? There's always traps. Like,
There's
so
always something around.
there's something that's going on. And that's kind of the vibe I want you to take is like, it's not goofy, silly, dumb. It's not like Monty Python running through a dungeon. Is
Right.
what we're going to do is there's going to be jokes. There's going to be humor.
Right.
But this is a thing. And you accept this thing because it's always just been the thing.
It's part of the lexicon.
Right.
Mhm.
It's not so much that you would say like, hey, it's Tuesday kind of situation. But it's like, oh, we got to deal with type
It's
thing.
something that we know is a known quantity.
like there's a lot of known unknowns out there for y'all. Like, if a beholder shows up, you're like, oh shit, that's a,
That's the thing.
like, you might not necessarily know that. Like, someone that's smart, the smartest member of the party probably could roll and be like, oh, that's a fucking beholder.
Yeah. I read about that. Not a good idea.
Let's move out the way.
Yeah.
But at the same
Somebody
time,
give it a goldfish.
Just send it to Mardi Gras.
Beholder to Mardi Gras.
the very first Extra Life, they had to return the Xanathar's goldfish because they had accidentally stolen it. But Xanathar didn't know that it had been stolen because Xanathar had gone through a portal and gone to Mardi Gras and showed back up drunk.
I forgot y'all said that.
They put it in a tank that allowed it to, like, they made it a mech. They gave the freaking goldfish a mech, and then they added a taser to the mech. So next thing,
All I'm hearing is Minion from Megamind. Gorilla Suit Goldfish. Let's go.
It was
have
basically
some
spider with a
hungover
taser,
D&D
goldfish.
edition. Hungover movie, but D&D edition.
It was actually that.
Yeah, it was. I'm slightly proud because I wrote the catch for every single game, and I just handed it to
Are
people
those
who wanted to run.
recorded? Can I go back and watch those?
They're on Claire's channel, I think. I don't.
Okay.
They're not on the TBA channel. I think they're on the Frick EV channel.
Okay.
I don't think they're lost media.
But I do understand where you are coming from with tone. Just say that, that we just, again, we're just the kobolds for just, using as a point of reference to be like, that we are bringing back kobold legs, and then that somebody be like, oh, that this be good to be roasted with or something, because some people might enjoy that or
We're
whatever.
eating kobolds.
Well, I think the main thing
Those are
you're trying
sentient
to
critters.
the main thing you're trying to get to is there is a level of seriousness we need
Right.
to take in the world, but it's not like when it comes to the magic and everything. It's
just
more
everyday occurrence. Almost.
Yeah, it like most of what happens we understand. Like even if we don't understand it, we understand that there's a certain level of magic and certain level of mysteriousness that is already in the world that we understand. So even if it's something we don't understand, we're kind of like, there's an explanation for this. Let me ask my wizard friend. Oh, we don't have a wizard. Well, I guess we'll kill it and see what's up about it.
Or let it pass. There's that kind of thing. Kind of so it's not like when we did Mortweld. Where like all of a sudden y'all screaming in confusion, which was part of the point. That's not really going to happen. Like if a tree started moving, you'd be like, damn.
That's a thing.
This is now our problem kind of situation. Now, with that, that's the tone, that's the vibe, those are the mechanics, that's some of the lore and everything. So, one of the last things we'll do, and I don't think we'll actually get to actually rolling tonight because it's getting to be...
I don't even know the time.
It's 9:39.
It's 9:39.
Okay. You don't gotta get DD. Okay. So, let's go around the table, introduce characters to each other.
Okay.
And, like I said, the questions I asked you, you do not share those with anybody else. Those are for me to know and be evil with.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Or choose or not to be evil with. We're probably only going to have 2-3 sessions of this before we play Chris's game.
So portions of backstory that the other members of this little cohort would know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if you want to name your group, you can.
Well, we'll see when we get there, but I think...
So Kris, we'll actually start with you.
I can't believe this.
I can. I can 100% believe this because I just did
Let
it.
me get a pen.
Yep.
I'll let y'all get ready.
Ready?
Okay, so I am playing a halfling rogue named Levandra Humblestride. I was going to ask you, I am playing an orphan character, who grew up on the street, who doesn't know her parents. Her, by the way. I'm wondering, like, when it comes... Okay, so I did mark down the Beggars Guild. I was wondering, like, okay, for orphans, maybe they took the name of, like, an icon in the Craeft guilds.
But, I hadn't thought about that because, like I've thought about what do bastards get as a last name. In almost every world I've... Like, Dreyfus becoming Dreyfus Dales.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So, yeah, you could choose whatever last name you want as an orphan.
Yeah, well, the way I see it is like the orphanage that she initially was in was like, this is your last name because there was like Dorian Humblestride, who is like part of like one of the guilds, maybe. Like if you want to do it like the charities guild.
So like a patron or something.
Yeah.
Like a patron surname.
Yeah.
No, let's be fair. There's a guild of orphanages.
Yeah, and they're just like, you're a halfling, your name is Humblestride now.
Wow, racist.
Well, I would see orphanages being like, if we're gonna go with like the stereotype orphanages are just
There's
like
Choky at that orphanage.
it's bad. Of course, with Levandra, she like escaped the orphanage and lived on the streets for a while until she was picked up by what we talked about, the organization called the Scarlet Feather, which is a thieves guild.
Well, the thing is, did you share that you were in the Scarlet Feather?
She would share. She was associated with the Scarlet Feather. She's not going to... Let's just say you don't know how involved she is now. And y'all would know the Scarlet Feather as like a kind of Robin Hoodish organization.
I think this is also because we talked about it's kind of a mixed bag. Like there's a lot of Robin Hoods, but there's also a lot of robbing hoods.
Yeah.
Like they show up in their hoods and they take and then...
Yeah.
And they leave robins behind. They go chirp chirp.
There's a there's a lot of controversy around that. They do a lot of good, but there's a lot of issue with the way they conduct business and individual people. She, like, what you would know about her, and this gets back into the Mortal Coil situation, is that she was caught trying to rob a Craeft lord or Craeft noble. Not her specifically, but like a troop that she was with. And the charge was so great, she was probably going to be put to death. Like, I think that would be, like...
They stole enough that...
Like, maybe... Okay, so you did say that, like, the death penalty is...
They don't like the death penalty because you can't work.
Yeah. So, it would be, like, a rare enough sentence where they were like, something's going to happen to you and it's not going to be good. But then, like, the Mortal Coil stepped in. It's like, hey, this person is talented. We would like to take them under our wing and conscript them.
Right.
Like, they're... So basically, my character is just, hey, I'm just with the Mortal Coil now. Like, they just... I'm just owned by them, technically. Indentured servant, as you put it.
So now I'm realizing that the Mortal Coil is also kind of like the Night's Watch in Game of Thrones. That they pick up the director.
They will grab whoever. Yeah. I mean, kind of similar also like the Grey Wardens from Dragon Age of they'll take anybody.
Okay. Get it.
Or the Night Watch from Discworld. They'll take everybody.
Okay.
I mean, they took Navi.
But yeah, I think that works. Or is there anything anyone else?
Well, I mean, what would be the trait from the little bit y'all have worked together in the past that the rest of your party would know they can rely on you for?
Well, okay, so Levandra is very good with... Okay, her main thing is that she is a, like, part of the Leatherworking Guild.
Mm-hmm.
But what her main skill was when it came to the Scarlet Feather was working with traps. So specifically, like, she's a trapper, and she is someone that knows how to pick locks and get around obstacles that, like, most people can't get around. One of the reasons why she was sought by the Mortal Coils because that was her thing. Like, she got, like, in the initial job, and we can go over that, she was the one that got people into the quarters to steal whatever it was from this Craeft lord. And she's also someone that's, like, still just really good and just really knowledgeable on those things.
So y'all, I guess in that case, y'all would know if there's a job that she's the one to lean to when you're like, hey, this door's locked. We don't know if this is trapped. We don't know if there's... Like, if you need a way to get in without being noticed, Levandra is your person. Okay, then we'll bounce suspense.
Okay, then I will be playing Lennox Kris, a dim day that I am pretty sure that after about the first few jobs that they had probably would have revealed to like Levandra and then like Neysa's character, then that they are a changeling.
Okay.
Then that basically without giving away too much is then that that the cover story that they have always said is basically then that they basically hailed from Quint in a sense, but then that they basically then that they had went off to go and then find just a little bit more information from that the Hyde from just the high elves with just at the theocracy, and then that they had basically met that they basically met a mentor that had basically said then that they will be good at basically a betwixt domain, aka the Twilight, because then that they can see basically that the light and that the shadow just within Linux for a sense. And basically, after that mentorship was done, that Linux basically decided to basically want to learn more about the boss, and basically joined up with just the Spectrum Cartographers Guild, and basically served as kind of like a bit of higher muscle meets basically support duty in a sense, with just that their skills are basically providing like refuge and heals, as well as basically like protecting painters that will basically sell like pictures of like that the various cities and stuff all around, to just provide that they got to update by like bi-yearly or so. And I would say that Word have, because then that up in that their appearance right now is then that they take the form of like a darker colored high elf in a sense. But I would say what had got them into the mortal coil was then that it was basically like then that basically like one of the painters from like that of the Cartographers Guild had basically probably had saw them go up into their actual form, and then like I am not sure how we are treating changelings, if then that they are like regarded as like ultra rare, scary, or so like that.
Well, I hadn't thought about it, because I mean the problem is there's two types of changelings in D&D. There's the player character changeling, and then there is the monster changelings that are known for eating people.
Right, and then I think then that's probably what that I was leaning with whenever then I had sent that stuff with you. Then that they thought of basically that Linux Kris was basically this monster type, and basically was just like even though then that they have done so much good work and stuff, then that they had got hired on by the Mortal Coil for basically that this servitude to basically keep them in check, to make sure then that they aren't one of those types of changelings. Possibly.
Okay. Now I'm going to have to give you some information with talking to the Theocracy, because the Theocracy has a very limited set of deities.
Right.
That I have to send you now. If you were talking to the Theocracy, if we want to tweak this a little bit, is if the Theocracy saw that you were a changeling posing as a high elf, they would have listed you as a drow. Now the reason I'm going to say this is there are the group known as drow.
Right.
But the Theocracy lists anyone that is not part of the faithful. Anyone that they would list as an apostate gets listed as a drow. It is a term they use for those that are not of an accepted faith, because like the Theocracy says they are correct. They allow the wood elves to keep a couple of their gods, as long as they will also pay respect to their gods. They'll let the halflings keep Mara, as long as they worship the elfin Theocracy gods. They'll let the humans keep one or two other gods, as long as they worship the Theocracy gods. The correct gods is how they do it. So being both light and dark does still fit within the domains of the deities of the great tree of the Elven Theocracy. But I'll need to get you that information offline, because I mostly only have it on Roll20.
Yeah.
So if you want to change your deity or anything like that, or if you want to change your backstory to like, hey, yeah, I was trying to go with the Theocracy, and then all of a sudden they found out I'm a changeling, and then that made things way more awkward. Like, I also want to make sure to say this, because it's something I've had to tell the Monday Night Crew. There are good people in the Theocracy. The further you get from Long Elb, where the Theocracy started, the better people you will find in the Theocracy. Kind of like the medieval church. The closer you got to Rome in the Renaissance or the deep Middle Ages, the worse representations of the Catholic hierarchy you ran into. Like running into a pope who had an illegitimate son that he used as a hitman for the church, that led to the Machiavelli writing The Prince kind of situation. So the closer you get to the elves, the more strict the religion becomes. Like, if you made it to the far-off new continent, okay, you'll all have heard of a place called Lothria.
Mm-hmm.
It's a continent that wasn't supposed to exist, and then you found it, and it's the largest damn continent on the entire planet. Something happened, and the mists that surrounded it are now gone, and people can go there.
And somehow, Belshafon.
Yes. But the elves that were over there, like the least orthodox version of the elfin theocracy is on Lothria. The further and further away you get from Long Elb, the less dogmatic the church becomes. So on Bozoth, you might find a more accepting.
And then that's probably where I was probably going with just that this mentor of mine that, that I am leaving that up to you, basically then that they were basically on the outskirts, and then that they knew stuff a lot, but then that they just wasn't, as that you say, closer to the more dogmatic, strict rules about it.
I mean, it's like every religion. The further you get away from the religious center, a little bit more loosey-goosey.
And then it
You
kind of
also
picks
might-
up it kind of absorbs the other religion.
A little bit, but
area.
also to quote the movie Van Helsing, I'm only a friar.
Mm.
Thank you, Faramir.
Right. And then I guess that what
back.
that that they will be known for is based on that their a bit of wisdom and cunningness is basically that they are good at speaking to people and stuff, and getting that the way out and such, and in that also then that they are able to basically provide dark vision if needed be, or just people that can't see in the dark. And also basically that they can somewhat pseudo assist with if some kind of subterfuge or anything needed to be done, that they could, but it has to be very specific, that they have to see somebody before, but even then that could possibly get into trouble impersonating people.
Okay. So, I mean, got a face.
Right.
Got a lockpick.
Okay. So, for this game, I'm playing Zekyl Henri.
Zekyl Henri?
Zekyll.
Okay, ZHYK?
Zhek.
EK.
Yll.
YLL.
Zekyl. And then Henri is spelled ONRIGH.
ONRYGH?
I.
Oh, this means I get to go Zekyl on Rye.
Zekyl Henri.
Zekyl Henri.
So, Zekyl appears to be a human in his 30s. He's about 6.5 feet tall, and he's got cheekbones that can cut glass, and he'd be handsome, except he never looks like he sleeps a full night. He's got bags under his eyes, and his cheeks are hollowed out.
So he looks like L from... Okay, L from Death Note.
She hasn't seen Death Note.
God.
Yeah.
William
Dude,
Defoe.
Yes.
Yeah.
He looks like Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, like 30 years younger.
That's
or-
awesome, though.
And here's the...
With the same body mass he has right now.
Here's the fun thing, though. Zekyl has an alter ego that he tries to suppress with his alchemical infusions. And when his alter ego comes out, that alter ego's name is Hyde. Haid.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm literally doing a Zekyl and Hyde spoof. That's all I'm doing.
I found it funny, so I said yes.
So, I'm gonna put a rec in. There has been a Broadway run of the case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for years. David Hasselhoff did a stint, and that's actually where I'm taking all of the aesthetic for Jekyll and Hyde is from the David Hasselhoff run.
Okay, so your character looks like David Hasselhoff. You
Yes.
should have just said that.
David Hasselhoff and Willem
David
Dafoe 30
Hasselhoff
years
is
ago.
beefy.
So we
But-
have like David Hasselhoff, and then we basically have IL Tank.
But
And just like a 3.5 foot,
yes.
like, halfling, like...
Okay, so here's the thing. Zekyl was born like the only son of a dying noble house, basically. The Henri household his father essentially had dementia, and that's kind of what spurred Zekyl into his work with alchemy and physic, trying to find a way to heal his father's dementia, and also potentially stave off, him developing that in the future, because we all fear becoming our fathers. So he was doing pretty well with the whole experimental thing, mostly research. When he was getting ready to, everything was starting to come together, he was engaged to a woman named Emma Carew, and Emma's father was on one of the boards for the physics guild. I don't have names for anything. I didn't.
We'll
know
come
how
up
you
with it.
Things.
Flash in the pan, the Alchemist Guild.
So he was engaged to this woman, Emma, and he was ready to start testing his formulas, and the guild said no, too dangerous, not gonna happen. And Emma's father, being on the board of the guild, basically when Zekyl was getting ready to defy the guild and do it anyway, he forced her to call off the engagement. The very next day, Zekyl's father died. Zekyl kind of lost it, and ended up experimenting on himself instead. Hyde came out and attacked some of the board members, and that's what landed him in jail and then into the mortal coil. And so he's still dealing with all the fallout from that, because literally he carries it with him in his blood. I've basically flavored him as a shifter. He's a beast Hyde shifter, and so temp HPs for doing melee shit. But basically he's not too close-mouthed about it, because part of penance and atoning and trying to make up for what he did wrong is he wants y'all aware of what you're traveling with. He knows he's half a monster. And so Hyde, you don't mess with Hyde. If Hyde comes out, you get out the way and let him do his shit. But Zekyl is a quiet, always tired researcher. That's his whole shtick. He's a researcher, and he's trying to solve all the world's problems of good and evil internally.
I like how we're in terms of social hierarchy, we kind of run the gamut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is part of why I decided to go the way with Mortal Coil that I was going to go is everybody's backstory lent towards an organization like this existing. So everybody has a reason. There's also the questions I asked you.
Yep.
So for the folks at home, the questions that I got, and I stole some of these. Also, I'm going to suggest that anyone that's trying to start a new campaign do this so that they can get just a little bit more of an idea of what their players want and where they're going to go without going, hey, what do you want in this campaign? So
you walk into a tavern, go.
So
I want a drink.
But there's absolutely nothing wrong with starting a campaign that way.
Yeah,
if that's what you
the
want to do.
tavern is good because it's a pretty basic way to start things. But
It is the safest trope. But first question I asked this whole party that sent me in private is, what is your secret reason for joining the party? The second is, what would you kill to know? Both of those I stole from Tycho from Penny Arcade. Now, I can never remember Tycho's real name. But the guy who does Penny Arcade, does Acquisitions Incorporated, those are two of the questions he always asks his players. The third one, what guild may you also be a member of beside Mortal Coil? What event nearly broke you in the last 3 years? What's something that hurt that might still be carried with you? How would your character respond to a family member, or could have put close friend, betraying them? And what are the hard no's for a campaign? And now, I know pretty much everybody's hard no's, but whenever I start a new campaign, I want to do something like this. Questions that pertain to the game, and also make sure what are the hard no's.
It never hurts to.
It never, because sometimes the hard no's change because something we didn't know existed exists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
like
of course.
2 years ago, I didn't have a problem with the concept of like PvP, and now I'm like, I don't want to do PvP,
Yeah.
and even if it's discussed, I don't want to. I kind of want to stray away from it, just because we've had issues with other games. I've had issues in other games that cropped up where things got weird.
Yeah, and even when you're with a group of friends, PvP doesn't usually feel good because
I mean, like with Mortwell the first time, like I mean that the story lent itself to it. We talked about it.
Yeah.
But like now I've had other games where shit just went way south way fast, and it's soured a lot of stuff. So.
It's easy for PvP to feel personal.
Yeah. It is.
And the only time I'm going to allow PvP in a game is if the story makes sense for that to happen.
Mhm.
And it's also going to be one of those situations like, hey, we're doing an all evil campaign, guys. So PvP may happen. It might be encouraged
Yeah.
to happen
Yeah.
because you're going to be a group of ne'er-do-wells
Yeah.
that as long as one of you makes it out, somebody's rich type situation.
I will say, on that note, like, when it comes to my character, I am playing a halfling 3.5 feet tall. So the character in character will
No
be
short jokes.
well. She wouldn't mind short jokes, but
Don't
you know,
call her a Saxville.
don't
No Sackville
yeah,
Bites
no
jokes, okay.
picking up, no acting like a child.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
patting the head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no condescending. She's in her mid-30s.
This is a whole grown ass little person.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, I think, like, if a character did that to her, like, she wouldn't, like, I would, like, me as a person would not PvP, but just to give an idea, like, Levandra.
There'd be a groin kick.
Yeah, Levandra, like, outside of the party, like, if some random orc was like, oh, yeah, you're a little baby, she would stab him in the dick.
Yeah.
So,
To be fair, this has sounded like Aldrich. The first time the party met Aldrich in Chris's game, someone called him a woolen and pat his head, and he ripped an elf's ear off.
Well, it's like there's that one there's a one like story that runs around. It's like a Tumblr like glory story of a like the party literally level 1 got together, and the Dragonborn's like, I'm gonna go around and hug everybody, and then the Tiefling's like, I don't want to be touched, and the Dragonborn's like, oh yes you do, and like dude stabs him and like kills the guy because level 1 is like, I said I didn't want to be touched. It was like a crit hit. Like it was wonderful.
I mean, I guess that does extend to the fact that, like, you know, boundaries do exist for characters.
Exactly. And I mean,
and I think, like, as our characters would get to know each other, they would understand those boundaries.
Yeah.
y'all would definitely, and that might be something y'all want to discuss privately and not involve me in as the DM, which is something I have encouraged the Monday night campaign to do when they start planning things. Do not speak in the same thread that I'm in. Because if y'all come up with something, I don't want prior knowledge. So if I get caught flat-footed, that means the bad guys got caught flat-footed. Like, all of a sudden it's like, what happened? We figured out how to make a flamethrower. How the fuck did you make a flamethrower would be the first thing out of my mouth, is what I want to happen, because here's the deal. What are the bandits on the road going to think? What the fuck is that?
It's a dragon mouth cannon. What
We hold up a large pipe. Okay. And then like all of you get together.
I want to go pumpkin chunking now. You said large pipe. I want to go pumpkin chunking.
So
Just basically invent the t-shirt cannon to just make the mortal
Tater
coil.
gun. It's a tater gun, y'all.
and now here's the thing: if y'all want to come up with like a combo move that y'all like, and y'all talk about beforehand, and you don't want me to know what it is, so all of a sudden y'all got your own version of the fastball shuffle. Because I don't know how the halfling being thrown at you with knives, magically or physically, isn't a surprise attack.
True. Which goes into a good question. Like, how long have we known each other? How long have we been?
That is a good question.
I feel like that's
No,
okay.
That's up to y'all.
I mean, I feel like Zekyl's been dealing with this for a couple of years was kind of the timeline that I had. So I'd been in the mortal coil for a couple of years. So I don't know if we want to just take that as like we were the first group thrown together, if we wanted to have other groups before.
I would probably say that like that around at the age of whence that redacted had happened to them. I would basically say then that a little bit ahead, right, that, you know, like right there, like right before Zekyl got in, but then it's still newish enough that it is no hierarchy or anything like that, at least for my character.
So maybe we each started in like a different group and then we got paired up afterward. Right. What about you?
I was thinking so we came in, like, before we came up with the death penalty thing, I actually like the idea more that they just like throw you to do work. Maybe like she was destined to go somewhere else until the mortal coil was like, hey, we could use her, and she was tossed into the mortal coil and maybe jumped around a bit until she finally landed with y'all. So maybe she's the last one to get in there. And it's been with y'all for about 9 months now. Maybe like both of y'all's, like y'all and me have both had the same issue of being in groups where people do stupid things and win stupid prizes, so to speak.
I feel like Hyde, do you prefer Len or Nox or Kris?
No, you can do Len or Kris.
Okay, we'll go with Len because there's a Kris there.
Funny, I wrote Kris.
Here's the problem: is someone's gonna go Kris, and he's not gonna be paying attention.
Okay, so
I'm gonna go Len.
So I feel like the first group that Zekyl might have gotten thrown with, they didn't believe him when he said, "Don't get in my way." And somebody might have got hurt. I feel like Len would have a better chance at recognizing not to get in the beast's way, kind of thing.
Because what is your strength score?
I don't have a great strength score. It's more just like the vicious factor.
Oh, got you.
It's more a vibe.
Part of the I took Tavern Brawler feat.
Gotcha.
And I've got Shield Master feat. And I've enhanced both the shield and my primary weapon, Cane, which I'm using mace stats for. So I don't have great attack bonuses, but it's more of just the flavor of it all, kind of thing. The main thing is Beast Hide Shifter for temp HPs to start with. And when we eventually got paired up, your Sanctuary ability to kind of keep that going makes for a really nice combo.
And then that also would just lend, then that they also took that the Warcaster feat, that we probably had somebody try to run off from just battle from just basically that you were about to put them on, knock them out or something. Then I just told the dead of them as a reaction, and that they just fell down.
I need to go look at what the elixirs are again.
And plus then that shifters do have dark vision already, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then it's just basically then that just at that, basically giving you just that upper edge with some of my abilities help.
Where are you?
And then as soon as that your character joins in, then that you are just like, oh, I am all for it with the speed and getting just to jump on enemies and stuff.
I would be like, y'all go do your thing. I'm going to wait for them to be distracted and then make my time to strike. But I think she had a lot of parties where it was like she's with them and she's like, hey, y'all need to watch out over there. They're like, you don't have to worry about this. We got this. It's like, no, you need to worry about that. It's like, shut up, halfling. And then they die in a fire pit and she's like,
I tried.
I tried.
Again, that's the delicious and dungeon note right there, and the realism you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not so much callous; it's just shit.
Yeah, it's realistic with the understanding that magic is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are just understanding that there are intricate traps everywhere. If I say I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just
So, as far as the reason that I went alchemist is for the experimental elixirs. I didn't know that we were going to have a Twilight cleric, so there are healing elixirs and AC boost and like a bless effect elixirs where it gives a D4 bonus to attacks and saves. Those were going to be the ones that I was mainly going to be focusing on anyway as part of the Hyde flavor. So I feel like it's a good green light. We're doomed. St. Elmo's fire. Oh fuck.
But yeah, I feel like that, that we are gonna. I feel like all of us together. I feel like that all of us together are basically very robust and hardy because of all of the temp stuff that's going around. Then I'm pretty sure that they have basically called us our just little group of 3, just like that. They can't be killed. They can't be touched.
Well, I mean, I got a plus. Yeah, I got a plus 11 to stealth.
Okay.
I just disappear. I mean, I kind of went with more of a skill monkey sort of deal, where it's I got a lot of skills I have, but I
built a researcher, so I've got proficiencies to history and investigation, but I also gave expertise to medicine because physician type of thing. I also, with part of our starting money, I picked up healer's kits and other alchemy things like empty flasks, magnifying glass, ball bearings, etc. For merchant scales, because I looked that up and that's a thing that can be had. God damn it, Hugh. Oh, please don't. No, make it stop.
No, I'm trying to get it smooth. Like, that was fade. That wasn't even strobe.
Oh.
Okay, so Hewitt, I did buy a bunch of shit.
I'm sorry.
He visited the latrines cleaner.
He went and talked to the Decimus Guild.
There you
Do you
go.
know who the Saint Decimus is?
No, but you mentioned them earlier, so I was.
Saint Decimus is the patron saint of the muckrakers.
Okay.
Unless I've got that wrong.
Interesting, because I bought 2 scrolls of grease. No,
Okay.
so just like I might have confused my game in this game. I used 600 gold on the easy magic item list. I thought you approved that. I don't know if you did. If
Let me double check.
Well, I mean, in the document, we got 600 gold, 1 uncommon magic item, and the Mortal Coil Guild writ.
Yeah, and my uncommon magic item was a cloak of protection.
Mine was a bag of holding.
Mine was basically my greatsword +1.
But I didn't buy any other magic items.
Okay.
Yeah,
Same.
I didn't buy any magic items. I bought scrolls.
Well,
and
those are
healing
magic
potions.
items.
Damn it! You know what I mean.
I mean, they are.
What?
Said, do we know what you mean?
No, I don't even know.
I mean, scrolls are magic items. Healing
technically,
potions are magic items. I didn't buy any of those, but I wasn't needing to because alchemist I can literally.
Yeah. Well.
So.
Okay, so it's the magic item buyers list that that's online. I didn't know if that's kosher.
That's
I thought
fine.
it was.
Okay.
Unless you pick some, if I go back and look at your character sheet and there's something balls ass crazy, I'm going to say no. But the most part, no. Also, forgive me for switching colors at the moment because I'm also double checking. Here, y'all look really good. Mm-hmm. Blue, I'm going to have to do something with the next go.
Oh, I'm the Flake now, y'all. I'm Oliver Crawford.
Good God.
Hi, guys. How y'all doing?
But anyway.
We all in the mortal.
I look really good with that red on, though. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this complexion, y'all.
It gives you, you got the Morticia Adams, look how it's giving the blue mixed with the shadow.
Meanwhile, I am just in shadow perpetually.
Oh, hold on. Let's see. If I do...
Ah!
That looks terrible on me.
What did you do?
I am
Auto-
still in
You look
shadow.
like what's her name from the Willy Wonka movie?
Yeah.
He looks like a blueberry.
I guess it's just at the angle or something.
Well, we're going to keep working on lights so that we can get everybody. Like, this one looks good on me, but it also
It doesn't look terrible.
it makes Neysa look like it's like the first colorization of a motion picture.
Okay,
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, but
this
I
looks
like
fine
that.
actually.
Yeah,
this
that
one
looks
looks really
fine.
good. Like
So-
it's like green and all sorts of weird colors in here, but it looks great on the camera. Okay,
Yeah.
anyway.
It actually is hiding all the gray that's right here.
It turned it blonde.
So to anybody that's watching this later, thank you very much for watching Session Zero of what's going to be known as Coin and Craft, a tester short campaign, probably 2-3 sessions before we start Chris's campaign in Darwin in March. So we got Neysa does cosplay, NinjaSpence, the Grave Flower. I am Miro / Hewitt. This is the only place I appear other than my classroom.
And you appear in Backwoods Obscura.
And Backwoods Obscura, which is
Mhm.
Kris and I's podcast about, kind of shitting on paranormal and
Like, okay, so it started
Oh
out
my
as like
God.
let's talk about like paranormal stuff, and then we're just like these fucking idiots, these fucking dummies.
no, we don't go that far,
Yeah,
but
we don't go that far, but we're skeptics at heart. We do say the Louisiana skeptic thing, where
Yeah,
we're
like-
we don't try to test things, but
we don't believe it, but I ain't going out there to disprove it. So that updates every Tuesday on whatever podcatcher you would like to watch. We're also Team Bonus Action at Team Bonus Action on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch,
Threads, Blue Sky.
Threads, Blue Sky. We got
All
Team
the
Bonus
things.
Action, TeamBonusAction.com, and on Twitter we are bonus_team. You can check us out there. We may have a charity coming up. The charity clerics have been kind of quiet because we've gotten to the Mardi Gras season. So
It's also just been hectic.
it's
It's been
a
rough.
weird January, folks. So we may have a charity coming up. We may hold off and just do Extra Life this year. But in any case, if you can donate, I highly recommend the Trevor Project for the first part of the year or St. Jude's. Both are worthy causes. So if you could donate to either one of those, not through us, on your own, we would greatly appreciate it. Hey, and everybody, since Knox is not here,
Don't
let
let
me
me
low.
low. Comment, like, subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and you all have a good night.
We're better than this, we promise.
Thank you.